Jing. Today, we'll meet a member of China's new generation of farmers and see how young people like him are transforming China's farming and rural areas.
我叫英超，我是来自嘉兴市绿康农业开发有限公司。
Hi, I'm Ying Chao. I'm a new generation farmer from Jiaxing Lukan Agricultural Development Company. I was born in the 1990s, and I'm a local of Yuxing Town in Jiaxing City.
Ying Chao is the hero of our story. He's 31 years old and the father of 2 kids. To his children, their father flies big planes, something they are super proud of in front of their kindergarten playmates. What Ying Chao actually flies are farm drones, which is something he himself takes much pride in.
我原来呢是学了一个是大专数控一个。
I majored in numerical control back in junior college, which was somewhat related to drones and other agricultural mechanization. In fact, my major required strong hands-on skills, so I'm quite adept in handling modern agricultural machinery.
It's a bright day in mid-April. An unmanned drone is flying over the lush green wheat fields from one end to the other and back again as it dispenses a mist of pesticides over the plants. The wheat crops, heading and flowering already, quiver and waver in the force of the gust of wind created by the drone flying over, forming rolling waves of vibrant green in the fields. Farmers in Jiaxing, in the eastern coastal province of Jiangsu, are busy applying pesticides on the advice of agricultural experts from Yuxing Town to prevent pest infection of the region's wheat crops. For better pest control results, the work needs to be carried out in a short, controlled time frame for all the farmers in the area. Ying Chao and his team have been all out in the fields by sunrise, each operating an unmanned drone to carry out the pest control work on the 15,000 mu wheat fields. That's about 1,000 hectares, contracted by the Lukan company, to which Ying Chao serves as the general manager. Even with the company's 8 drones all working, they have been busy all day. But Ying Chao knows from experience that they can finish the work as planned within 3 days. With his company's crops all taken care of, Ying Chao is now double-checking with one of his colleagues on a new booking order for their drone service for tomorrow. A farmer surnamed Wang has booked a drone pest control service with Ying Chao's company for his 500 mu wheat fields. Ying Chao wants to make sure his team has got everything prepared and the drone is checked for the work.
Hi, mate. You're tasked with the pest control service to Wan tomorrow, right?
Yep.
What's the acreage to cover?
500 mu.
Okay, make sure you check the drone this evening. 500 mu. I think you can get it done within 1 day.
Sure thing.
In agriculture, time is everything. From mid-May till the end of July, it has always been a super busy farming season in Jiangsu province. Traditionally, locals call it the double rush period because within a short span of less than 30 days, farmers need to meet the dual challenge of harvesting wheat and planting rice on the same piece of land. In Jiaxing, in just a couple of weeks' time, the wheat harvest will begin. Coming on the heels of that, around late May or early June, it is the rice plantation. In the past, farmers dreaded this season every year. Pressed by time, they often had to spend days in the fields, from sunrise to sunset, engaging in back-breaking manual labor. Ying Chao and his father-in-law have contracted 15,000 mu of land for grain farming. A couple of years ago, they would have been as busy as bee by this time, trying to hire farm hands. But now, they appear to be super cool about the upcoming double rush season.
我们的公司呢，现在主要员工呢有8个人。
Our company currently has 8 employees. They are the backbone of the company. Each one of them can operate all our modern agriculture machinery. Their primary work is to carry out a full mechanized operation in our company's fields. From preparation of seeds, seedling raising, to the last step of grain production, grain drying and packaging, we've already realized a full mechanized production in rice. At the moment, our company has fertilizer dispensers, unmanned drones, rice transplanters, heavy tractors, and baling machines, etc. These farming machines have helped us realize a full mechanization of farming in the fields.
Jiaxing's rural area is among the country's richest. Over the past couple of years, modern farm machinery such as harvesters and multifunction tractors have been widely used in grain harvest. However, whole process mechanization of farming is still relatively new. What motivated Ying Chao and his father-in-law to make the bold move to introduce it into their farming? To answer this question, we would have to go back to how Ying Chao returned to his hometown in the countryside to become a farmer after finishing his college education. According to Ying Chao, becoming a farmer was not part of the plan when he went to college. Like many students of his time, he was thinking of locating a proper, stable job in the city after his college education.
When I was young, I never considered becoming a farmer, because doing farm work seems to be hard work. The reason I chose numerical control as my college major was because it was a favored major in the mechanical industry at that time. I was thinking that after graduation, I could take up a job in numerical control, programming, or digital designing.
Ying Chao was originally from a rural area. He knew farm life very well.
I grew up in the countryside in Yuxing town. When I was a child, my father was a tractor driver in the village. My mother did snail farming. So when I was little, I often saw my parents doing farm work in the fields, and I just played around them or followed them around sitting at the back of the tractor.
So what changed Ying Chao's mind and took him back to his rural hometown again?
Upon graduation, I was influenced by my girlfriend and her father, who's my father-in-law now, because their family has always been engaged in agriculture and had just set up a farming company. Due to their influence, I gradually began to see agriculture as a sector that has a future for young people. So I decided to work in agriculture after graduation.
But soon after he joined his father-in-law's farming company, he had a bitter discovery.
At the time when I met my wife, my father-in-law had just contracted 1,200 mu of land to carry out semi-mechanized farming. A lot of the farm work was conducted by way of traditional manual labor. For 2 years, I helped him by leading a group of older people to do farm work in the fields. It was truly hard toil. It was even difficult to hire farm hands at times. And when the weather was bad, all farming activities in the field had to come to a stop. So I suggested to my father-in-law about using modern agriculture machinery to change our traditional production model.
They decided to start with a farm drone. In 2015, Ying Chao and his father-in-law purchased their first unmanned drone. That year, Ying Chao became the first agricultural drone flyer in the whole of Jiaxing City. Agricultural drones can serve many purposes, including applying pesticides on crops to control pests. While more farmers are using drones for agricultural purposes in developed rural areas, a couple of years ago, using drones was still a big and risky decision to take.
Back then, a drone cost more than 70,000 yuan. That's roughly $10,000. Our revenue a year then was only 400,000 to 500,000 yuan. When we deduct other regular expenses from it, we really had to consider the drone purchase carefully. Buying a drone was equivalent to buying a car at the time, if that comparison can give you some idea.
And it's not just about the cost. Initially, few farmers wanted to try using drones for farming, except for Ying Chao and his father-in-law, who's also full of entrepreneurial spirit.
所以说我们就是抱着一个试试的心态，购入了第一台无人机。
We bought our first drone with the intention of testing it out in part of our own fields. At the time, no one in Jiaxing had ever used unmanned drones for farming. No one knew whether using drones in agricultural production would be effective or not. If the drone's pest control results were less than satisfactory, it would have gravely affected grain yield for the year. So people just dared not to take the risk. But in order to change our outdated way of farming, we daringly bought a drone as an experiment.
They mainly used the drone to control pests on 1/3 of the company's fields.
1年4年下来呢，效果比较好，效率也比较快。
The outcome of our first-year experiment was very good. The drone applied pesticides more evenly than the traditional manual way, and it was way more efficient. So we purchased 3 more drones in the following year to carry out large-scale operation and production.
His success impressed other big grain growers in the neighborhood, who had been quietly observing him, eager to know the effect of such modern equipment.
也是影响了周边几个种植大户，看到我们这样的方式在进行无人机的防治。
They saw us using drones on pest prevention. They spent 1 or 2 years observing us, waiting to see the result of unmanned drones on pest control. After finding it very effective, some big growers also purchased drones for their own farming. Smaller growers, after careful calculation and deciding it was not economical to spend a fortune on a drone, then let it lie idle most of the year, came to use our drone service, which they found very satisfactory and saved them all the hassle.
After their initial success with the drones, Ying Chao and his father-in-law went a step further towards total mechanization of grain farming. They purchased more drones, rice transplanters, fertilizer spreaders, tractors, baling machines, and a number of other kinds of modern farming machinery. The company also recruited a group of young farmers who are willing to devote themselves to modern agriculture.
我们目前呢就是购入了
At the moment, we have more than 100 modern farming machineries, which raised our team's work capacity to being able to provide a farming service to 3,000 mu land in one day.
These employees and farming machines have helped Ying Chao realize the full mechanization of farming in the fields. Ying Chao believes that farming must rely on technology and mechanization. So far, he has pioneered in both in Jiaxing. Soon, he will see another of his dreams come true.
那么我们在20年呢已经实现了一个大规模的一个
By the year 2020, our company had already realized large-scale grain production. Our revenue had been growing, and the grains we grow are of good quality and have become well recognized. Then we began to think, we produce such high-quality rice, we must build a rice brand of our own. Jiaxing has historically been called the land of fish and rice, but we used to sell our rice to famous rice dealers. We felt it was necessary that we package and brand our own rice. For this purpose, we have been building a rice production plant, which means we'll be taking control of our rice production from its planting process to the final packaging and branding.
Building a rice processing plant became Ying Chao's next objective. And he's a man of his word. In 2022, Ying Chao and his company set out to build their rice production plant, the last link to the company's whole process mechanized rice farming industrial chain. This rice production plant is soon to come into operation. According to Ying Chao, by that time, they will be realizing a fully mechanized rice production chain, covering all stages of rice production, starting from rice seedlings to grain drying to the final step of packaging the grain and put it on market. Standing by a huge pile of rice grain, about 300 tons of it, Ying Chao proudly told us this.
Before, we would have to spread it over an area of several square kilometers for 10 days before these 300 tons of grain could be dried. With our rice drying equipment, we only used 20 hours to do the job.
Such mechanized farming methods soon enabled Ying Chao and his father-in-law's company to increase their grain-growing acreage to 15,000 mu. More concrete and significant changes have been felt by Ying Chao and his family.
通过我们全程的机械化作业。
We were the first to realize whole process mechanization of rice farming, which has reduced our production cost and increased our efficiency. Our grain planting area has been increased, and we also expanded our business scope. So it is a world of difference.
With an entrepreneurial spirit and a belief in high-quality farming and modern technology, Ying Chao has helped transform much of the farming practice in his area. What more daring moves will he make in his pursuit for modern farming? Footprints continues with more of his story. The new business scope that Ying Chao referred to is the mechanized farming service provided to farmers who need it. Although the modern machinery was initially meant for meeting his own company's needs, soon Ying Chao found that they could also benefit the whole rural community.
We provided a very good drone farming service to other farmers. They found it time and money saving. Through word of mouth, gradually, our services have gained recognition among farmers, and our farming service business continues to expand.
During the busy farming season, big growers often have to hire extra farmhands to help with the work. But the intense manual work and quite often dirty toil keep young people away from land. Many of them would rather work in factories in faraway cities. Ying Chao believes the mechanized farming service provides a win-win solution for both the farmers and farm service providers like himself.
We charge a certain amount for our service, but it's far cheaper than the wages of hired laborers, and it's way more efficient. It solves the labor shortage problem. It's always difficult to hire farmhands during the busy farming season here. Wages for farmhands can be really high. So when we provide big growers with such farming services, we help them solve both major problems.
Ying Chao cites the machine fertilizing service as an example.
If a farmer wants to fertilize 500 mu of fields the traditional way, he needs to hire at least 50 farmhands to do the work. The standard wage for the job is at least 350 yuan per person per day. With the manual work, fertilizer is not always evenly applied and the effect is not guaranteed. A fertilizer spreader can spread fertilizer more evenly and more efficiently. It can work the equivalent of 50 farmhands in a day, for a service fee of only 2,500 yuan. In comparison, with hiring farmhands, the farmer needs to pay 6 times as much just to cover labor costs.
Farmers are happy that with just 1/6 of their usual expenses, their farm work is done timely and nicely. Demand for the mechanized farming service has been so big, now it has developed into the second business area for Lu Kang Company. Ying Chao and his team did not stop at realizing full mechanization of farming or becoming a popular farming service provider. They wanted to take agriculture into the digital age.
Ultimately, we want to realize whole process smart farming. For this purpose, we set up a 5G-powered digital smart control room. Together with our modern machinery and equipment, we have realized smart agriculture. This system facilitates more accurate and targeted farming management and is good for grain quality enhancement.
For those of you who are curious about Ying Chao's smart farm system, here's how it works.
The various smart sensors installed in the fields can monitor important indicators such as crop diseases, pest infection, water quality, soil and weather conditions in the fields in real time. The data will be transmitted back to a smartphone and to our digital control room. We'll then carefully analyze it and send out our agricultural machinery to carry out targeted work in the fields. This way, our agricultural production becomes greener.
According to Ying Chao, this digital platform helps him reduce fertilizer and pesticide use, thus contributing to green agriculture. So far, Ying Chao's business is the only entity in Jiaxing that has realized the smart management in the fields. But this 1 million yuan system does not benefit his business only.
不单单就是提高了一个稻米的品质。
The system does not just enhance our grain quality. We also share our data with the farmers in the area, letting them know what's going on in the fields. This, together with the guidance from agricultural experts, will provide other farmers with targeted solutions for pest control and other crop management.
Ying Chao calls himself a new generation farmer because he and his team of 8, which is primarily made up of millennials, are largely different from China's traditional farmers.
以前呢，我觉得农民呢，真的叫农民，就是一个。
I used to see farmers as those who would toil all day long in the fields. But now, I think our generation of farmers are not farmers in the traditional sense. When we meet someone, my children always proudly introduce me by saying, "My dad's farmer. He flies big planes." And I feel very proud of that. Today, we can even engage in agricultural production and crop management without leaving the company office. In the future, I hope to see that with the help from 5G technology, we will be able to realize computerized control of unmanned machines to work in the fields. Farming can be really high-tech.
To them, rolling up their sleeves and trouser legs and toiling in the paddy fields will soon become history.
我们平时就是跟其他人来开玩笑说。
We often joke that our employees can wear their leather shoes to work in the fields if they choose so. They drive their machines there and can finish the farm work without getting out of the driver's cabin. They'll still be neat and clean after a whole day's farm work, just like any white-collar workers. There's absolutely no chance for them to work barefooted in the fields.
This was echoed by one of Ying Chao's employees who just got off the tractor.
你看我现在穿着皮鞋干活，一天。Well, I've been working in the fields in my leather shoes. After a whole days of work, my shoes are still clean and shining. But most importantly, my salary is 2 to 3-fold that of my previous wage.
Since 2022, some provinces in China have started to confer professional titles to agricultural workers for their accomplishments in the agriculture area. Ying Chao, too, has acquired the title of agro-technician.
通过一个上海交大给我们的各方面的农机技术上的培训。
Shanghai Jiaotong University offered us training on modern agriculture machinery operations. Following that, I received an intermediary certificate of agro-technician. I feel this is a formal recognition of our farm work and to us as new farmers.
Ying Chao says he believes that there's a future in agriculture for young people, yet acknowledging that at the moment there aren't too many of young people working in agriculture. He hopes what he and his team have achieved will let more young people in the rural areas have another look at agriculture and rural life. For 2023, Ying Chao has set his eyes on 2 things. He wants to see his contracted land for large-scale mechanized grain production expand to 20,000 mu, and he wants to see people fall in love with the rice he grows upon the launch of his mechanized rice production line. With that, we conclude this edition of Footprints. Thanks for listening. I'm Ning Jing. If you're interested in hearing more about the lives of ordinary but incredible people in China, follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Just key in Footprints and you can find us there. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.